Please rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's quiet.
Too quiet.
Yeah.
Good morning and welcome to RPtv. Today is Monday, October 7, 2019. The Roselle Park Police are looking for help in gathering information about a recent traffic accident that left a pedestrian in critical condition. Caitlin has that report.
Police are asking people who were at the intersection of West Grant Ave and Locust Street on October 2nd at 1:26 p.m. to contact them if they might have seen a pedestrian struck by a car. Officers responded to the intersection on Wednesday afternoon for a report of a motor vehicle crash involving a pedestrian. According to police, their investigation stated that a Roselle Park resident was struck while crossing in a designated crosswalk. The driver that struck the pedestrian remained on the scene and is cooperating with the investigation. The resident was transported by Union County EMS and paramedics to University Hospital in Newark. The resident is in critical condition. Roselle Park Police requests anyone who may have witnessed the accident to call 908-245-2300.
Major battle is shaping up along the Jersey Shore, and two neighboring communities are not only hoping to win, but they are also hoping to raise some money. Barbie has the details.
Manasquan Inlet Intercoastal Tug is a growing tradition where the people in Manasquan and Point Pleasant Beach will face off across the ocean inlet for the second time next weekend on October 12. Two teams of 25 tuggers will pull yellow rope of the length of 1,200 foot strung across the inlet. According to the organizers, last year they managed to raise $29,000 for recreation departments of both of the communities. During the event, people enjoyed food and craft vendors, plus live music was played on both sides of the inlet, which is considered the northern terminus of the America's 3,000-mile intercoastal waterway. The organizers created this event hoping it could become Jersey Shore tradition, similar to the tradition staged in Maryland for 20 years between Annapolis and Eastport. The event, sponsored by Jersey Mike, will start from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Now it's time for announcements. Tomorrow during lunches 1 and 2, a representative from Harrisburg University of Science and Technology will be available for interested students in the library. A workshop regarding the college essay will be held on Thursday, October 10th during periods 1 and 8. Congratulations to the volleyball team for defeating Hillside 2-0. The team was led by Erin Mooney, Sarah Lippin, and Annabelle Peralta. Dance Club. Next meeting will be Tuesday, October 8th in the auditorium at 4 p.m. All are welcome. Come dressed to dance. Gay Street Alliance will be having our first evening meeting of the year on Tuesday, October 8th. It will be in room 18 starting at 6 p.m. In addition to our regular discussions, it will be a game night. All students are welcome to attend. Confidentiality is always a must. Interact Club will be hosting their next meeting on Tuesday, October 8th after school in room 1. Everyone is welcome to attend. We will be talking about our current community service project as well as our movie night for later in the month. Join us on October 8th in Room 1 and learn about the Multicultural Service Club at RPHS. French Club. Next meeting will be Thursday, October 10th in Room 3 at 2:45. All are welcome. Art Club at National Art Honor Society. The next meeting will be held next Friday, October 11th, after school in Room 102. Come join us. Health Careers Day is Tuesday, October 15th. Throughout the day, you'll have the chance to meet a whole variety of professionals who work in health care, including a physical therapist who works with professional athletes, a veterinarian who works with large horses and small animals, a nurse who works in forensics, a detective and health educator involved in the opioid crisis, chiropractors, dietitians, a pharmacist, speech and hearing therapists, pediatric dentists, and the emergency response team, among others. Health workers are in great demand and pay well. Give some thought to one of these careers. You will sign up online to attend sessions. Watch for announcements coming soon. Yearbook photo retakes. Retakes for pictures will be October 23rd for high school. Pumpkin decorating contest. The Garden Club will be hosting its 4th annual pumpkin decorating contest. Pumpkins can be decorated but not carved or cut in any way. $10 to enter. Pumpkins will be provided while supplies last. Winning group will receive Dunkin' Donuts prize. All are welcome to enter, including but not limited to clubs, classes, friends, and faculty departments. Order forms are in the main office. Please return payment with complete order forms to Ms. Hernandez or the front office. Make checks payable to RPHS Garden Club. Deadline to enter is Tuesday, October 29th. Judging will be held Wednesday, October 30th and Thursday, October 31st. Winner will be announced Thursday afternoon. See Ms. Hernandez with any questions. School Supply Drive. Interact is sponsoring a school supply drive until the end of October. If you have any items you would like to donate, please bring them to Room 1. Anything is greatly appreciated. Movie Night. Interact will be hosting a movie night on Thursday, October 30th after school. Come join us and watch Beetlejuice. You could pay $3 to attend or bring in a snack to share. See Mr. Fucci or Rebecca Rodriguez with any questions. Our final story this morning concerns the amazing adventures of some animals who found themselves in unusual circumstances. Caitlin has that story.
On Saturday, a hair salon in Long Island had an endearing experience. At the Long Island Beautiful Hair Salon, it was a normal afternoon of cutting hair when a buck jumps through the front window and into the lap of a woman who was sitting on a couch near the front, scattering glass everywhere. The deer ran around the store, crashing into walls and ending its salon experience by smashing through the glass door. Another unbearable story takes place in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, with 2 bear cubs sneaking into safety technician Jeff Stokely's van, getting themselves trapped. To try and get themselves out, the 2 cubs start to honk the horn, which gets Stokely's attention. After a few pictures taken, the cubs were let out of the van, and their mother was nowhere to be found.
Stay tuned, we will be right back. Thanks for watching RPtv. Have a great day and stay tuned for CNN 10.
Seven days into October, we thank you for taking the time to watch CNN 10. My name is Carl Azus. Our down-the-middle coverage of world events begins with a recap of a recent meeting between delegates from the United States and North Korea. Those two countries have been rivals since the Korean War took place in the early 1950s. But U.S. President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un have met twice since last summer, making history in the process. They've been trying to see if they can establish a lasting diplomatic relationship and lasting peace on the Korean Peninsula. There's been no major agreement yet. A key issue between them is North Korea's nuclear program. The country sees that as its right. The international community, which includes the U.S., sees the program as illegal. And America has put strict sanctions in place, limits on parts of North Korea's economy that are intended to pressure the communist country to give up its nuclear program. North Korea wants those sanctions removed, but timing has been the sticking point. North Korea wants all of the American sanctions lifted before the country gives up its nuclear weapons. The U.S. wants North Korea to get rid of its nuclear weapons before the sanctions are lifted. So it's an issue of who makes the first move. The two sides have continued negotiating, though. Over the weekend, American and North Korean delegates met in Sweden for talks at the working level, meaning neither of the country's leaders nor top officials were there, but negotiators from both sides were. So how did the talks go? That depends on whom you ask.
The working level talks between the US and North Korea ended in Stockholm, Sweden, and judging from the responses from both sides, you could imagine they were in completely different meetings. This often happens between the US and North Korea. We heard from the North Koreans that there were no fresh ideas, that they were very upset that these talks had broken down. And we heard from the US side that they had a very good discussion and there were plenty of fresh ideas. So what we heard from Kim Jong-il, he's the North Korean who was leading their delegation, he said that the US was sticking to old attitudes and old ideas. Now, what we can read into that is that potentially the US was not willing to ease sanctions immediately before seeing any concrete moves from the North Korean side. But we did hear from the US side. Steve Biegun was leading those discussions. We heard from a State Department spokesperson saying that they don't believe the North Korean comments actually characterized the 8.5-hour discussion. They said there were good discussions, there were fresh ideas. They also said that Sweden had invited them back in 2 weeks' time to continue the discussions, and they believed that was going to happen. From the North Korean side, they said that the US should go away and should think about what it has done and decide by the end of the year if it was going to come up with anything new. Also saying that they are now at a crossroads of dialogue or confrontation. Now, this is not the first time that this has happened, a very different idea of the discussions at hand, but at least the two sides had discussed for 8.5 hours, which is one good sign. Whether they meet in another couple of weeks, we simply don't know. Paula Hancock's CNN Hong Kong.
In an average year, between 5 and 10 people in America get sick with a virus called Eastern equine encephalitis. It's a disease carried by mosquitoes. This year, there have already been 32 cases, mostly in the northeastern U.S., and it's particularly alarming since the virus kills about 30% of those who get infected. Scientists say most outbreaks of EEE take place from the late spring through early fall, but they don't know why this outbreak is worse than previous ones. EEE is carried in birds. Mosquitoes that bite them and also bite humans can spread it. Experts say there's a large population of birds in Massachusetts that have no immunity to the virus, so that could be a starting point. The virus itself might have mutated to spread more easily. Also, there was a lot of humidity and heat in the Northeast this summer. Mosquitoes thrive in those conditions, and scientists say a hard frost will kill off the insects when it hits. Until that happens, they recommend using insect repellents, wearing long pants and long sleeves, and staying indoors from dusk to dawn when mosquito activity is highest. In fact, the University of Connecticut had a football game scheduled for 7 p.m. on Saturday. They moved it up to noon over concerns about EEE. Rhode Island is another state being affected.
While a Rhode Island baseball team squeezes in a late summer practice, up above, something is happening in the state for the first time in nearly 30 years. Aerial spraying to kill mosquitoes, a last line of defense in the state's fight against EEE.
There are certain conditions like this year where we have to go above and beyond those normal measures because people's health is at risk.
Eastern equine encephalitis, or EEE, is a virus transmitted by mosquitoes through a mosquito bite and can cause a rare brain infection, sometimes death.
I have a couple, 3 at least candidate female mosquitoes in here.
Al Getman is an entomologist for the state. He's studied mosquitoes for 27 years, tracking their habitats and what diseases they could carry, like West Nile and EEE.
You're around mosquitoes all the time. Are you alarmed by this spike that we're seeing?
Well, yes, this is a very, very unusual year we're having here in southern New England. Nothing quite like this has been observed before where EE has become so widespread.
At least 30 people have become ill in 6 states this year after being bitten by mosquitoes carrying EEE. 11 of them have died. Finding answers as to why the widespread spike starts with catching mosquitoes.
You're laying more traps now at the direction of the state. Why?
We all want to know, in this very unusual year, how much EE is out there. Where is it? What species of mosquito is it in? Etc.
Getman leaves the traps overnight, and by next morning,
Well, that's a good mosquito catch for this time of year.
next it's back to the lab, where those mosquitoes are frozen and separated by species.
That's our weekly routine, is produce these vials and get them up to our state health department.
Where the mosquitoes are ground up and tested for the presence of EEE. The results inform state officials about next steps on how to combat the disease. It's a process repeated every summer.
We really can't predict it's going to be a bad summer.
While the disease is cyclical and outbreaks happen every few years, officials say determining why it's setting records now will take time.
What would you say to the people that are really worried?
The threat is out there, that's certain. The obvious message to the public is to remain vigilant and protect yourself from mosquito bites for the rest of the season.
10-second trivia. Herculaneum was an ancient city buried by the eruption of what volcano? Mount Etna, Santa Maria, Mount Vesuvius, or Galeras? In AD 79, Herculaneum was one of several cities destroyed by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. Scientists from the University of Kentucky are trying to use new technology to get a read on some ancient Roman scrolls. The papyrus scrolls were discovered in the ruins of Herculaneum in 1752, but no one's been able to read them because they were charred in the 1st century eruption of Vesuvius, and physically trying to unroll the scrolls could ruin them completely. So here's what researchers are doing. First, they used a synchrotron, an incredibly powerful source of X-rays, to take detailed pictures of the delicate scrolls. Next, they're using a computer program to look through the images in the hopes that it'll be able to tell the difference between the layers of papyrus and the ink that's on them. It could take more than 6 months to do this, but if it works, it could unravel anything from an ancient Christian text to a Greek philosophical text to a 1st century grocery list. There's just no telling what's on it. But the leader of the research team says if we've made the effort to save the scroll, we should try to read it. Lamborghini Aventador. Unless you find one on sale for like, say, 97% off, you won't find one for $20,000. But that's how much a father and son say they've spent building this one. The dad is a physicist who works with lasers. That probably helped in the 3D printing of the car's pieces, which were then glued together. It has a Corvette engine, and it could be finished after 2 years of work. They hope it'll get others interested in engineering. Maybe one day they'll drive it, or one day they'll dread it. But even if it's not real, you gotta Lamborghini give them credit. 3D printing a car may seem a little quixotic, but it's a whole new third dimension of exotic. You can get Gallardo power from an LS or a Hemi, and you'll have a Miura image of a Lightning Lamborghini. It brings the cost down to something more affordable, a carbon fiber copy that's Aventadorable. I'm Carl Jesus on the loose for CNN.